I know where Michelle Malkin is. They were not even letting you hit off fireworks because how dangerous it was and with the fires there. Hey, Michelle, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back. I'm so glad to be back.
How are you and your family doing?
We're doing good. You know, we were evacuated for a week, and we feel very blessed that so many lives and homes were saved. But we have friends who have lost everything. But the thing is, this is an amazing community. I'm so proud to be able to live in Colorado Springs and call so many of these people my friends and neighbors and residents, because they are very vigilant and set on rebuilding, and it's a really resilient place to be.
Well, that's well, it's good to hear. Thanks for the update. And we know you were off for a couple of weeks for a very good reason. So let's talk about something a lot less important. The ramifications of Obamacare being upheld. But they said one thing is, if you have that mandate in it, that is indeed a tax. That's what John Roberts said. Now, as your serve, Governor Romney, how did he do?
Well, you know, I think he missed. And I think it was confirmation, all the flip-flops that we've seen since the decision of the worries that fiscal conservatives have. I think that Rick Santorum certainly is in a position to say, see, I told you so. And of course, the point was of much of his campaign that Romney has an Achilles heel when it comes to his position on this, whatever you call it, individual mandate, tax, thingamabob, thingamajig, Frankenstein, oppressive, and freedom impinging mandate.
Well, actually, let's listen to what the presidential hopeful had to say specifically about Obamacare being a tax.
I said that I agreed with the dissent, and the dissent made it very clear that they felt it was unconstitutional, but the dissent lost. It's in the minority. And so now the Supreme Court has spoken. There's no way around that. You can try and say you wish they had decided a different way, but they didn't. They concluded it was a tax. That's what it is, and the American people know that President Obama has broken the pledge he made. He said he wouldn't raise taxes on middle-income Americans. Not only did he raise the $500 billion that was already in the bill, it's now clear that his mandate, as described by the Supreme Court, is a tax.
So how, Michelle, I'm sorry, Peter, Michelle, his campaign is getting a lot of criticism about this. You know, specifically, you know, a couple people come out with one thing, he comes out with another. You, Brian, you were mentioning, I think it was what, the Wall Street Journal. Very
Wall Street Journal took him to task today, and their lead editorial essentially says he's actually acted. The money, the campaign looks confused and politically dumb.
Yeah, they should have been ready for this. I mean, they didn't have a single advisor or strategist on board. You know, with all of the resources and experience that Mitt Romney has had, having run before and having had to defend himself on this before, they were not prepared after the decision to come out and say what he has said now. I mean, that Etch-a-Sketch is hanging over him like Damocles' sword.
Well, Michelle, you're not suggesting this is a fatal error. I mean, this is a glitch along the campaign trail.
Well,
what does it mean?
There's no question that it is a huge liability for this campaign. And I have to say that it's demoralizing and cringe-inducing for grassroots conservative activists and Tea Party members who have crusaded for full repeal of this mandate tax monstrosity ever since it was shoved down their throats. They would like to have a standard bearer who has a clear message, not a muddled one. We went through 2008 and a muddled GOP candidate before. We don't want to repeat that history.
But as a matter of fact, didn't Mitt Romney say that he wants to repeal it on his first day in office?
Why didn't he say that the day after the decision and just make that crystal clear, no matter what you call this thing? He didn't do it, and that's worrisome.
Well, one thing he also did say he would do is, and that is he'd install the Keystone Pipeline. He'd okay that. So now on the northern, and they're so disappointed in Canada, the Keystone Pipeline is going to go from Canada over to Texas. So they've decided to reach out to the VFW to look for tens of thousands of workers to start constructing the northern part of the Keystone Pipeline. Your reaction to that?
Well, this is the very kind of outsourcing that the Obama White House and campaign are criticizing Romney for. I think that's rich. Second of all, thank God for the VFW doing the job creation that this White House refuses to do. I think this is the kind of thing where Mitt Romney has much greater strength in hammering this White House and the Obama job death toll that's been leveled against the American people in large part because of pandering to left-wing constituencies like the radical environmentalists who killed this thing in the first place.
Well, actually, it's going to be 114 labor positions, skilled positions. They get like 30% more than they would typically here in the United States. So these are really good, well-paying positions.
And imagine how many positions they could have if they could build it right through the heart of the country. Now let's move
Bingo.
on. Yeah, let's move on to something else that you've discovered and wrote about, and that is, I think you put it on Twitchy as well. Celebrities on July 4th had some interesting tweets, anything but supportive of this country. Do you want to share this?
Yeah, sure. Well, Twitchy is a curation site where we basically see what people are saying on Twitter. And one of the most interesting and valuable gold mines, of course, is how these left-wing Holly weirdos who are so out of touch with the American mainstream cannot help themselves. They show their true colors, and they did on July 4th. And those colors are not red, white, and blue. People like Chris Rock, Aaron Sorkin, unfortunately Don Cheadle, who can be reasonable every once in a while, spending their Independence Day trashing America and complaining about torture and slavery instead of talking about the amazing opportunities we have in this country.
All right,
yes.
I'll do Chris Rock's tweet. He says, "Happy white people's Independence Day. The slaves weren't free, but I'm sure they enjoyed fireworks."
All the people of color around the world who want to get into this country, I think that's who Chris Rock needs to talk to. Not that we whitewash our history, but yesterday was a day to celebrate the opportunity, the freedom, the uniqueness and exceptionalism of our country. And these people in Hollywood refuse to see it, even though they're the greatest beneficiaries. Chris Rock, you make a living running your mouth off. Hey, just like me. That's something to celebrate. You can't do that everywhere else in the world, you know.
And then there was a tweet from Zach Braff. It said, slaves weren't freed for another 90 years, so maybe just enjoy some of the fireworks. What does that dialogue do between Braff and Chris Rock? Doesn't that tear a country apart, Michelle? What value does that serve?
Well, I think it exposes the myth of post-racial America that Obama was supposed to usher in. And these people are a huge progressive liberal echo chamber. And, you know, the good thing is, of course, that sunlight is the best disinfectant. And that's what my Twitchy team tries to do every day at twitchy.com. And they keep us busy because Independence Day isn't the only day that they're going to be whining and moaning about all of the injustices of America instead of shining a light on just how great a country we are.
All right, Michelle, hang in there with all your family stuff, and I'm glad you can escape with us today. I appreciate your time.
Thank God you're safe.
Thanks.
We love Twitchy,
Thanks.
too.
Take care.
Good to see you.
Thanks.